see what I'm going to put on the screen. Screen. Hi, I'm live. It's almost 12 o'clock. Who's up? Who's in the house? Who's in the house? Shorty's in the house. Or Empress is in the house. Hi. Good evening. I am your host. I'm Tam Behind the Mic. How's it going? I know this weather is something else. Let me give people a chance to come on in. Let's see this. Okay. Here we go. How's everybody doing? It's Tam Behind the Mic. Here I am with my photo for the Queens Hip Hop photo exhibit for hip hop pioneers from Queens. How's everybody doing? Is the chat on? Do you hear me? Do I sound all right? I didn't beat my face. I wanted to pop one in. Hopefully everybody's in the house safe and sound. It's Saturday night. I have some ice water. Trying to keep myself hydrated. Doctor's orders. So, I wanted to have a little discussion tonight. Because people have been telling me, oh, wait. No, I'm still trying to get I'm still in the process of getting my setup and my space and my bells and whistles with this channel. But I believe that it's so imperative. I must say, congratulations to the National Museum of Hip Hop for the latest inductees. Now, with that being said, there's a lot going on in current events. I was looking at other people's channel and they was discussing about Jay-Z and his alleged son and having other children out there. And the defenses, back and forth, dismissals, and now there's a possible award, and the age difference. This is me some years back, if you could see, right? I look a little better then. But if you haven't heard my story, well, I'm what they call a Valamona. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. And what that simply means, I'm a mom that lost a child. And I'm raising my grandchildren who happen to have special needs and trauma. So I haven't really been out and about. And what I do in my day and age is that I try to protect my space. And I don't deal with a lot of toxins. And I must give myself a round of applause. I don't have no bells or whistles here. I have little gadgets behind there. Because I can't always rip and run like I would like to. Because I have some underlying health issues. And I really wanted to go out to Astoria for Astoria Day. But I didn't go because this whole hip-hop history and timeline, to me, it's a bunch of debacle. Because so many people are left out and they have all of these spinning of the narratives. And you have the shystiness and you have the clicks. And in simple words, it's a mess. And the reason why I can say that is because my history starts out real young. And a lot of the rappers or MCs that came out they were in their preteens. So I've been doing some research. I got my Palo Santo here, and I have some sage. Right? So, with that being said, I was there all over a lot of different places. And, I've heard other content creators, and I'm trying not to disrespect anyone. But, I'm about tired of people disrespecting me and my grandchildren. Really. Thank God I am the adult that I am now, and I'm not that wild child. Let me tell you all a little bit of something about my background. Music has been a deep staple within my lineage line. My father's side was musicians. They played a lot of blues, and they had bands. And this is when I lived in Corona as a little kid. And I was basically raised an only child up until the time that I left home at 13. So I developed an appreciation for music. And for me, when I think of terms of what they call now hip hop, because it has gone through so many different changes and evolutions and things like that, right? And I keep hearing some pioneers say, oh, but they wasn't there. You don't know what the hell I was in. I was up in T Connection more than one time. And I was with this crew that was scared to go up there. And, you hear a lot of the good things that they promote, peace, love, and unity. It wasn't like that. I was checking out, too, earlier, Fat Joe was having a discussion with someone, and someone was speaking out in regards to an incident. I did a screenshot. I should have jogged down some notes, but he was saying that he don't have no respect for people that snitch and don't follow the hip-hop code. And to me, I think the code is the code of silence. And where I'm at in my life, and I've had various different traumatic things happen on the road to hip-hop and trying to cross over. And I really just, intertwine with the wrong people, fake friends, phonies, leeches, opportunists, the whole gamut. But what Fat Joe had to say is that, this code of silence. Well, I've been broke that silence, because no one is going to tell me how to walk my pathway and my pathway of healing. Because I met this huge group from Queens, right, when I was 13. And I had already been rapping and MCing at the age of 10, preteen. I'm from Queens. I was born and raised, but now I'm a Brooklynite. But I represent all the boroughs of New York City. And sometimes in my particular case, when you start out early and other people surpass you, they know that you existed. But now that it's so lucrative and it's a money grab, everybody wants to be the first. They want to spin certain narratives, have control. And here I am. I had so many different instances to cross over. In my previous video, I talk about the Russell Simmons, St. Albans and Hollis, how it popped off, and South Jamaica. But I started in South Jamaica at a friend's house on the weekend, even though I lived in St. Albans, and I had family members, older cousins in South Side as well. But I was able to get to the outer boroughs at the age of 13 when I left home and I was staying in the kids shelter on Union Hall Street. And my cousin Jamaica, who was down with the Seven Crowns, Fat Cat, and all of them, that was my boy. May he rest in peace. I didn't get along relatively well with my girl cousins because when we moved initially from Corona or Elmhurst, we initially was living on the south side before my mom moved over to St. Albans. Because sometimes I say I'm from Hollis, St. Albans. And I did live on Woodhall Avenue. It was the worstest thing. But any event, so I know the history. And I branched out early. Like I said, at 13, I was staying in that kid shelter. And I was, it was an experience because a lot of children, that was like a hub for all the children around the borough. And that's how I was able to go to the Bronx, to Rosedale Park. And that's how I met Mario, Grand Wizard Theodore, Breakout, quite a few of the DJs because Mario let me rock out. And I was with Little Man and Rodney and Howie. But in the event, they are spinning narratives about who came first. I seen flyers at Herc's. I never was at his parties. Even before I left home, I was already rocking out with people on the north side. I didn't create the north side. I must say, I didn't create the north side. I always knew about the south side. Somebody came up with the north side. I would always say St. Albans back in the day. But however, there were many crews. There were founding crews. And when they were supposed to be creating this timeline of Queens, and I got wind of it, of course, this big group, those brothers, they were edifying me because I wasted a lot of time with them at some point, even though I was still rocking, and opposed to them. And where I was staying at, I had to work to maintain my clothing and stuff like that, because at some point we all got kicked out the kids' group home on Linden Boulevard. And that's when the Black Spectrum Theater was across the street, and I was a participant in that because I was always multifaceted, multi-talented, could rap, dance, couldn't really sing. That was to my brothers and my mother's gift, but we always did hand games. And when I attended PS 118 in St. Albans in the 5th grade, I was on the Double Dutch team and we won the citywide championship. So that's where the rhythm and the rhymes and stuff came along, and just poetry. I had a thing for poetry and the hand games. So I hear people talk about the dozens and they want everybody to follow this way, but that's not everybody's experience. In between me healing and coming to terms with the traumatic experiences of losing my daughter, and 6 weeks later, my godson was murked. It made the paper. Then in 2020, his mother was discovered decomposing, and that was my partner in crime. And we hung out, in Hollis and St. Albans and things like that. And when I had abruptly got displaced, I stayed with her for about a month till I got me a room when I was 18 and a half, her family. So she was discovered decomposing, and then his dad passed away suddenly too. He was a hustler out here in Brooklyn. And initially he thought that it had something to do with his past, but it didn't. So dealing with all of that and dealing with that deep embedded grief, because I didn't have a chance to kind of recuperate and get myself together. So, so I know a lot of the crews. A lot of the crews came behind me, after me. I played in Queensbridge. I played in Brooklyn. I played in North Carolina. I played up in Yonkers. In fact, Herbie Love, because I was watching some of the induction in Herbie Love Bug when he had the Idol Makers. That was dope. I missed that boat, because jealousy and envy and hate is a green eye monster. And control and greed and envy, that's three pillars, right? That's something else too. And what I can see is that quite a few people are being omitted out the hip hop museum. I sat in the educational day, and you can always tell when folks is up to something. Like, I look real square, so I don't look like I went through some different things. I don't look like I was like kind of raised up in having to survive, right? Top messages, okay. Still trying to get my way and my feel of this. So I learned from experience, from all of life experiences. And I was just thinking earlier today, I embrace those experiences because they have shaped and molded me to the individual that I am today. And I was never one to sell my soul, and I still won't be sold. I can't be bought, I can't be sold, because I have lineage line of ancestors that came from slavery. And my granddad on my mom's side was part of sharecropping, and he had limited amount of education. So I think, and I look at things through a whole different lens and filter. Um, yeah. Sometimes I think about, speaking out, but I'll be doggone, somebody got to stand up because, oh, congratulations to Hollywood. But like I said to him, he had pictures of legends, and that kind of roughed me up, ruffled my little feathers a little bit. And I said the good, the bad, and the shiesty, because it was a whole lot of that cutthroat, and it still exists. And I think things that we should really be alarmed about is having these institutions that are teaching our children or people in general a tainted history. Because going back to Fat Joe, with him saying the hip hop code, if I had a chance to ask him, what's the hip hop code? Don't speak on how the youngins and how people were being preyed upon and they were being raped, and these were children. It's disgusting. I'm a survivor. I've spoke out with it. I've protested because not only did it affect me, it affected my deceased daughter. And fortunately, when you don't have the proper guidance and you jump out of a frying pan into a fire, where you're staying in a household where things is not really secure and highly dysfunctional, and whereas there's no supervision. And I was speaking with my therapist earlier today, because I'm in therapy. I got to stay in therapy. And I was telling her, I was still, finally, I'm getting to a place of mourning that little girl, that teenager, and that adult that was not protected by society at large and the adults. So that makes me the fire sign that I am now, the Sagittarius in me, right? That someone has got to save these children. That there has been some wrongs and some ills that have been done And it still probably permeates. And my quest in clearing my lineage line, because my mother unfortunately was a survivor too, and it really tore her apart. She had a lot of baggage and a lot of things, and my cousins, when they were alive and they were around, they were protectors. I rocked out with them too. The Atomic Sounds. We had a big battle in Liberty Park. Everybody was there. The twins were there. The whole gamut. But they got this thing. If it's written, it doesn't matter. Please, Sammy. I have intellectual property. I am ensuring that my business is taken care of. I've had a song stolen, someone else using the hook, and all of this nonsense. This was early in the game. Then you think that people get older and they mature, and I've been assaulted as a teenager. And unfortunately, again, it was a dysfunctional household. So when it comes to protecting children, and also I need to make this point as well, that when I was staying in the Queens Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Children, some boys were being assaulted as well. And I didn't find out about it until, like decades later, when I ran into one of the counselors, and he was brave enough to be the saving grace for them boys and maybe some of the girls. I probably will disclose more of that, like in an article, because I'm working on articles, and then that'll probably lead up to my book. But I have various different notes and stuff that I've taken, and I could never understand when watching certain kids come up the pathway how their spirit looked like it was snatched. They might have had a bag of McDonald's or fast food or whatever, that they were put in compromising positions by a staff member, a male staff member. And for some reason, we're living in a society today that it permeates with the cronyism, a bunch of pay to play, and you're okay if you don't divulge the secrets of what was going on. Everybody didn't want to partake in all of that craziness. And when it comes to hip hop, I'll always say, from my experience, I believe that those older cats started seeing what a lot of kids were doing, and some older dudes was playing in the park, because Jamaica Sounds was big in the South Jamaica, and Cypher Sounds. In fact, I was the first female to participate in a cipher at Fantasia. But we have these clowns for a brother that did so much harm, that impacted, like myself and my daughter. And I'm still clearing up the wreckage of my past. So, when people like to instigate and they want to get the ball rolling, it's funny to me, because I be watching if I'm in that vicinity. And that's why I started to go out to Astoria for Astoria Day, because I know people out there. I used to MC with other groups besides them, in that area. And it was various different other groups too that they don't even mention. You had crews that had sound systems, but you had crews that combined and that had some kind of longevity. And that were like, they weren't praying, or they didn't present themselves as what. And I think my situation is a little different, because I've gotten to a place where Cat Williams said, you got to learn how to tell Diddy no. Well, I had to tell somebody no, because it's different from not knowing to knowing, to your eyes being wide awake and you're no longer looking at things through rose colored glasses. Someone had the audacity to try to solicit and recruit a soloist at my daughter's funeral. And I said, hell no, because of my own experiences. You know, yeah, pure disdain. Another thing besides the hip hop, it being in hip hop, I believe my walk and my purpose, and things happen for a purpose and for a reason. And that's where advocates come out at. And I don't care, because I'm not the wild child I used to be. And thank God I'm not. But however, throughout the years, because I believe in sitting still and praying and meditating and quieting my mind, and I don't always want to be around a lot of action. I'm to a place where I have to take care of myself and have some self-love. That's what says on my shirt. Self-love. You see it? That's self-love. Give yourself a hug. So anyway, I have come across so many families that have so many different dysfunctions, and children are being born, mothers are losing their children because the parents, or maybe the father, it could be the mother too, may be promiscuous, maybe leading them around the wrong path, teaching them the wrong things. Yeah, I really believe that we're in a crisis. I really do. My head keep popping off and on this green screen. Oh, shucks. We are. And if I got to be the one to stand up and ring the alarm unapologetically, I shall. I remember, other MCs talking about having to get babysitters and pass. And I have to always hug myself and forgive myself for being misled and manipulated and preyed upon and groomed. And my daughter and I being put in peril. And I think that's what really does it for me. I've gotten better, and I will continue to evolve, and I'm trying to get to a place of creativity. I'm beginning to, make little entries in my journal. I have bilateral carpal tunnel, so I have some medical issues, but I'm going beyond that. And what I always say, because I have had the evidence of things falling apart and then coming back together. I should have received a lot of accolades and things like that, and I did. I'm grateful for the few that I received. But see, I know how the business it is, and it's awful because, in my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion, this genre has destroyed a lot of people. A lot of folks passed away very, very young. A lot of people were groomed and manipulated, crossing state lines on false pretense of recording, and there was other line prerequisites and conditions. And that's the side that I don't like. Like a lot of the routines and the earlier music, I really loved. Um, I wish when I was in the group Silk and Lace that could have gone far further. But however, that was a blessing in disguise because the shystiness, I was listening to Herbie Lovebug. He was talking about, you know, the lawyers that get over on you and the record companies. Well, people don't know that Sylvia Robinson had approached me too when I was in Harlem. And she said about, coming out to Jersey. And I had already been through some stuff, whereas I was very leery with trusting people. And by that time, I used to carry my shit around. I mean, excuse me. And we heard the streets was talking about what was going on with Flash and the Furious Five and the Funky Four plus one and Sequence and all of that. And just was not going in that direction after things had went left. After that, I got approached by Sylvia Robinson first. Then Spider D referred me to Def Jam. And I went to the same individuals. And I'm like, damn, how could you have been so stupid? Because let me tell you something. When you're indulging in mind altering chemicals and you're dealing with trauma and a lot of different things, your brain doesn't necessarily operate because, again, like I said, I had to figure a lot of things out. I was a very studious student at 118, even at IS 238, and 192 because I was in the honor class, which we called the Deuce on Hollis Avenue. And then it was over Cleveland. And I did some things. I'm very careful about what I say because I've watched other people, even though they have gotten the accolades and all that, but they've listened to, my timeline, and then they have switched up, and it's just been a hell of a ride. Then you got people, because you're standing up, and sometimes it take that one person to save millions. You understand? Because a lot of people are perished. A lot of people are not here. And a lot of people are probably like Olivia the slave, lost and turned out. Okay? Because of these things that have gone on. And I'm talking about male and female, you know. So they'll say, oh, share amongst friends. You know, I don't know how God is going to move with this, but I think that something really big is going to happen because, a lot of people are writing about the president did this, the president did that, where I know for a fact that in hip hop and various different genres, this is the years of the reveal, the uncover, and that's why my series is Unveil. It's going to be so much bigger than I could possibly imagine. But I know one thing from my lessons from the past is to make sure that my ownership is intact. To don't trust nobody. Really. Because you see who's in the clique and who's moving around, and irregardless, I'm going to continue to fight for the youth, for the young adults, male, female, and this is my pathway, clearing my ancestry lines. A lot of people may not understand that, but I know what my calling is. And I think it was so big of me at 60 years old not to run around and prove a point. You know what I mean? Because I used to be a wild child and I didn't take no crap. Even though certain things happened, that's because I was caught off surprise and something went wrong. But I kind of rock and roll. My circle is very small, and I like it that like that because I don't trust a lot of people. I don't want a lot of toxic stuff. I'm raising grandkids, but I didn't feel like people trying to come for my grandkids because I think, you know, because push a person too far and they could spaz the hell out. And I'm like, these individuals, I think when I had the opportunity, I should have done a whole lot of things different, right? And I should have really, what they say, my grandson kids are saying, crash out. I should have really crashed out. But hindsight is 2020, right? So I don't know what y'all got going on today and this evening, but I wanted to chat about that. These secrets. I know Green Eyed Genie is talking about he created hip hop. Let me tell you, we all had, that was a collective effort. It really was. My tapes went overseas early. Oh, that can't rotate. Anyway, a lot of my tapes went overseas. I bought me a boombox because I did find some tapes. And so I'll be listening to them. And I've been on the hunt for some of my tapes too. And I know when I had MC'd with them brothers that there was pictures, um, there was some recordings, hooks, but when they have a plot and they on a mission, they'll cut your throat, anybody's throat, the mama's throat, just to be in this lamplight. And I think that's an opening portal for more stuff to come through. I don't think that there's any good out of what's going on with these institutions and what's going on with the genre too. And I'm talking about not all of the pioneers, but a lot of them. I can see I've been doing some investigations when I can at my leisure, and I know what time it is. And am I scared? Nope. I've been threatened. Oh, we wouldn't want anything to happen to your legacy. Listen, I'm not with that damn go along, get along crap. I'm not. I'm not. I've been surviving all my life. I don't look like I've been through half the stuff I've been through, except from the grief. And I ain't too bad in considering because it could be worse. I don't use no substances. Was never on no crack. I went to an event for the 50th in the park. And like I told them niggas, when I decide to pop out, I'll pop out at my own damn leisure. I don't let nobody stop me. But however, what I do is I protect my energy. I really do. Because I know it and see what things is going and how it's going, and the political figures that's involved in it is crazy. Because what I keep seeing is these people going to have us back in chains. Because they selling us out. They are. People, black folks, Latino folks, have not learned from history, from our past. We really haven't. They'll sell anybody just to win, to get recognition, to get money. And like, I'm hearing all these people get these accolades, and I'm saying, well, they wasn't there either. So I have some creative ideas. I will not discuss them. because there's a lot of people that's being omitted. And there was quite a few females. And I wonder where those females went. That was before Sharrock. I'm going to say it before her. Challenge me if you want to. Even in Harlem. I think the first female that I heard on the echo chamber, I know it was in Harlem. I can't think of her name. And I found other females. They were from the Bronx because I lived in the Bronx temporarily. And to try to discredit somebody else because you're spinning a narrative. Like I said, the ego and all. It's pathetic. I've heard people say, "Oh, you was too young." Nigga, y'all can't tell me what I was doing and where I was at. I'm like Green Eyed Genie with this one. I got my paperwork. People been asking for receipts. I got some receipts. And what's so disdain? Some of these cats was at different venues when I was playing, at birthday parties. Yeah. And projects and shows at McCann's. Shiesty, pure the darkness. There's no light. And then you got people running around and all of a sudden they holy and sanctified and they still doing that mess. They just hiding out. This is some paperwork here. Yeah, so I just wanted to pop in and check y'all out. Yeah. So, I think tomorrow when I come on, I'll have more of an outline. But I'm just getting my chakras going. Because I got to get used to talking again. And holding a conversation, because losing a child and the particulars and the cover-ups, it's horrible. We have to fight our own kind, and then we have to fight other kind too. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm blessed for people outside of the black race, because a lot of times they taught me how to survive. I know what it's like to be displaced. I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to be homeless with a child. I know what it's like to be hungry. And I know how to survive. And people have showed up when I least expected. So, I'm looking forward to all the blessings that will be coming my way. And I'm going to keep advocating for myself, for the children, for artists. Yeah. See? Okay. Yeah, so, like I said, I'm not with the go along to get along nonsense. I listen to what everybody says. And like I said, I knew a lot of people relocated too in Brooklyn. And I was hoping to give like that information. And I know that there's individuals on Facebook and they're saying, oh, they're just trying to oust my whole history. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They on it's like some guerrilla time. But the Creator sit high and he looked down low. And from my experiences, if you dance to the music, baby, you got to pay the piper. And sometimes with my enemies, I have to pray the wrath because I've seen some things. And it's like, oh, be careful how you come with somebody's grandchildren and their family, especially when they lost both parents. Can't no good come to you. Because I got their numbers. They mad when you figure them out. I remember somebody at the museum told me, you wouldn't have got a record deal. I said, why? They said, because you asked too many questions. They didn't have no clue. I had already been through the rigmarole. And I think maybe she was at Once Upon a Time at Def Jam, not Johnny Walker, but this particular person was. And she probably don't even know. I was there before the ship was up and running. And Russell did his damn thing. And I still have pieces of that song. Yeah. And I think I seen Russell somewhere at some kind of preview. Mm-hmm. Sure did. You know. Oh well, but there's a lot going on in the world. It is. And it's so unfortunate that we can't even trust our politicians. I have been disgusted, but it's been taking me some time. But I'll never be the same person again. But I damn sure will be a whole person to a certain extent. Where I function and I do things at my own pace. Because from what I see, there's so much corruption, widespread corruption. And, we're going to have to be taught a lesson. Yeah, this is garbage. I'm clearing out my space. I'm here in the basement. And, yeah, so that's it for now. I'm getting tongue-tied and my brain is starting to shift. Because sometimes that's what it does. And, all right, y'all have a nice evening. And sorry I was all over the place, but like I was saying, it's a freestyle. And I touch bases on some main points, but yeah, there's a big code of silence. And I remember Layla Wills saying, trapped in a culture. And my girl was definitely on point because it's not a culture. It seems to be like a cult. Anytime everybody's falling in line and you're penalized or ostracized because you speaking the damn truth. That's crazy. It's ridiculous. When we was creating hip hop and we was in the parks and I was in Fantasia, the Fog House, nobody really experienced that. I was underage, but I could get in there, right? It was the teens and preteens that were rebels. And like I said, in that kids shelter, it housed all the children within the 5 boroughs. And a lot of them are rappers too. You had Earths that were rappers too. I won't say their names because sometimes somebody be running around with that. Like I said, I probably will start doing some articles and having them published. And I'm still working on this channel. And I will be expanding it. And I'll be uploading a lot of the interviews from, other pioneers that have their spin. Because a lot of people are confused. Because I asked too. Did the Bronx? Nah. Because each borough and sections was doing their own thing. It was so territorial. And then what's so unfortunate is that they're teaching this stuff in the universities. And you know what also is like over the top is that D. Hurricane born Smitty. I MC'd on Smitty's set before Born and them was DJing for me, but I was already doing stuff with Future Sounds, Ebony Sounds, Unique Sounds. You know, that whole area has so much creativity. And for those pioneers over there to be omitted, or even anywhere, is just preposterous. But again, I'm blessed that people showed their hands. And I've learned from the past, which is a blessing in disguise. What my blessings are going to come, I don't know. But they'll know they're coming. And I know one thing. I wouldn't have been around a whole group of females because I took a lot of hits for the team. And like I said, I'm an SA survivor. And I ain't retracting that. And from my understanding, there's a lot of, from the first generation, not all, but from the first generation, there were older men having children by teenagers. So we're going to have to see what this thing, how this thing plays out with Jay-Z. But I always say he's not the only one. I also seen a whole heap of people before R. Kelly was tried and got sentenced, how they was all at the results. I said, all you got to do is look and tell, and it'll tell you who's in with who's compromising what. And they mad at me because I'm speaking out. Save the children. Not only the children, the boys and girls, save the adults too. Not only do they have to worry about the record companies, they have to worry about the producers. They have to worry about their credits, their royalties. It's a lot. It's a lot. And from its inception, when it became hip hop, when it was called that name, there ain't been no peace, love, having fun. You mean to tell me degrading people and girls and teenagers and destroying lives, that's having fun? I don't think so. So, again, this is Tam Behind the Mic. I've been on here for 20 minutes and I gotta go. I'm tired. All right. Later, y'all.